censorship, late-night comedy, and the silencing of voices, this is the drama shaking up Hollywood right now. Jimmy Kimmel's show has been indefinitely pulled off ABC, shocking fans everywhere, and now Stephen Colbert is stepping in with a fiery defense, calling it blatant censorship. But what's really going on here? Is this about protecting corporate interests, or are comedians being silenced for speaking too much truth? Before we unpack this wild story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join us here on my channel, where we dive deep into the scandals, drama, and untold stories behind the stars. Jimmy Kimmel has been on television for over 2 decades, carving out his place as one of the most recognizable faces in late night. His mix of comedy, sharp satire, and pointed political commentary earned him both fans and critics. But in recent years, Kimmel hasn't shied away from politics, and that's where the trouble began. On Monday, September 15th, during his monologue, Kimmel addressed the shocking killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Kirk was shot during a speaking event at Utah Valley University just days earlier. He was only 31 years old. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the political world. But instead of keeping it light or neutral, Kimmel went straight into political territory. He criticized what he described as the MAGA crowd's attempts to paint Kirk's killer as someone outside their movement. His words were biting. He said, "We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang trying to characterize this kid who killed Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them." It was raw, it was direct, and just 2 days later, ABC announced that Jimmy Kimmel Live was being pulled indefinitely. No timeline. No explanation beyond the controversy. Just silence. This decision hit fans like a thunderbolt. Kimmel, who had been a staple of ABC's late-night lineup since 2003, was suddenly erased from the schedule. His loyal audience, who tuned in nightly for his blend of humor and sharp-edged commentary, felt betrayed. How could a network pull one of its biggest stars so quickly? Then came the twist. Stephen Colbert, another titan of late-night comedy, entered the conversation. Just months earlier, Colbert had lost his own show, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, after clashing with CBS executives. But this time, Colbert wasn't the one under fire. He was standing up for Jimmy Kimmel. During a Q&A session before taping his show on September 18th, Colbert didn't hold back. He called ABC's move weak and described it as nothing less than blatant censorship. His words hit hard. "With an autocrat, you cannot give an inch. Jimmy, I stand with you and your staff 100%. Colbert was making it clear, this wasn't just about Kimmel, it was about the principle. If one comedian can be silenced for speaking uncomfortable truths, what's stopping networks from silencing the rest? The reaction across Hollywood and social media was immediate. Fans flooded Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok with hashtags like #StandWithKimmel and #CensorshipInComedy. Many saw the move as proof that powerful corporations were caving to political pressure, valuing business relationships over free expression. Other comedians quietly rallied behind Kimmel, while few made bold public statements. Insiders revealed that several late-night hosts reached out privately to show their support. Why quietly? Because they know the risks. Speaking out too loudly might make them the next target. The media world was split. Liberal outlets blasted ABC for silencing a comedian over a controversial but hardly outrageous monologue. Conservative outlets applauded the decision, framing it as overdue punishment for a host they considered too politically biased. But here's where things get even more dramatic. This isn't the first recent example of a late-night host being punished for speaking truth to power. Back in July, Stephen Colbert himself was axed from CBS after criticizing Paramount, the network's parent company. Why did CBS suddenly cancel its top-rated late-night show? According to reports, Colbert called out Paramount's $16 million settlement with Donald Trump, tied to allegations that CBS's 60 Minutes deceptively edited an interview with Kamala Harris. At the same time, Paramount was negotiating a massive merger with Skydance Media, a deal that required Trump's administration's approval. So when Colbert attacked Trump and Paramount on air, he wasn't just making jokes. He was poking at a billion-dollar business deal. Days later, CBS announced that his show was over. Now, just 2 months later, Kimmel faces the same fate after criticizing the MAGA movement in connection with Charlie Kirk's death. Two powerful comedians silenced, both for comments tied to Trump and conservative politics. Coincidence, or part of a much bigger picture? Media insiders are sounding alarms. One anonymous executive told The Hollywood Reporter, "Comedy has always been a safe space for uncomfortable truths. If networks start muzzling their talent to keep politicians happy, then we've crossed into dangerous territory." Another insider told Variety, networks aren't just worried about advertisers anymore. They're worried about survival, mergers, political approval, government oversight. It's all connected. That's why hosts like Kimmel and Colbert are suddenly too risky to keep on air. So what does this mean for Jimmy Kimmel? On paper, his show is only indefinitely pulled, which leaves the door open for a return. But insiders know that indefinitely usually means permanently. Unless there's a massive public outcry, ABC has no incentive to bring him back. For Colbert, this episode strengthens his image as a truth-teller, a comedian who refuses to play by corporate rules. Even if it costs him his platform, but it also raises questions about whether he'll ever return to mainstream television. For late-night TV as a whole, this feels like a breaking point. Once upon a time, late-night hosts thrived by saying what others were too afraid to say. Now, it seems networks are prioritizing corporate deals and political alliances over the comedians who built their late-night empires. This isn't the first time late-night has faced upheaval. Fans remember the infamous late-night wars of the 2000s, when Jay Leno, Conan O'Brien, and David Letterman fought for dominance. But those battles were about ratings, contracts, and egos. What we're seeing now is different. This is about politics, about what can and cannot be said on network television. It's not a ratings war, it's a war over free speech itself. Think about the past. Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, even David Letterman all made political jokes. But none of them were taken off the air for it. What's happening today is unprecedented. At the end of the day, the fate of Jimmy Kimmel's show might be sealed, but the bigger issue lingers. If comedians can no longer make jokes about politics without fear of losing their platform, then late-night comedy as we know it may be over. Stephen Colbert's fiery defense of Kimmel is about more than friendship. It's about drawing a line in the sand. About saying, we can't let corporations and politics silence our voices. But what do you think? Was ABC right to pull Jimmy Kimmel live after his comments about Charlie Kirk? Or is Stephen Colbert correct that this is nothing more than blatant censorship? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation is far from over. And don't forget to subscribe to Celebwood for more explosive Hollywood drama, celebrity scandals, and entertainment news that goes beyond the headlines.